location?
Kirti sir, you can start.
Can you see me? Am I visible?
Yes, yes, you're visible.
Yes.
Okay. Then it's my privilege. So thank you, Chitrakshi, and thank you, Sanjay Saab. It's my privilege to welcome you all to the second webinar of the 5-part webinar series on climate change and cities. We are talking about climate change in the context of cities. It has a suggestive title, and that is Adapting Together, Climate Theories and Strategies from Asian Cities. So stories, strategies, and Asian cities are the priorities. And they are on city scale climate action. The series was launched last week and is co-hosted by CityNet, CANSA, AIDMI, and INHAF. Let me take this opportunity to thank the co-hosting organization. Their engagement and role has strengthened this initiative very much, especially as they have a regional presence. This webinar series is trying to present approaches, efforts, and learning from many Asian cities which are preparing to meet the climate challenge. Last time we had a planner and administrator from Jakarta, Indonesia. And this time we have 3 highly competent individuals telling us what they are doing in Makati, the Philippines, and Colombo in Sri Lanka. And we also have my old friend, Mike Singlsby, who has made this region his home for the past 40 years. Mike, is it 40 years or more?
I think 45 years, yeah, thank you.
Oh, 45 years. Working on cities, housing, slums, planning, and poverty. We are fortunate in having Sanjay Vashist Saab of CANSA, and CANSA is Climate Action Network South Asia. They're doing tremendous amount of work. Manvita Baradi from Urban Management Center. Manvita was there just the last week, a few days ago, and I'm very delighted she's back again because Urban Management Center is doing some remarkable work. And of course, we have very young Tanmay Takle, who has worked on Mumbai's action plan for climate change, and Dr. Jayanta Basu from Calcutta University, whose insights and information on how Calcutta is preparing. It's a very versatile panel, and we look forward to their ideas, perspectives, and solutions. As many of you know, this is 134th presentation in the webinar series we call Rethinking City, which INHAF has been running for the past many years. During this long period, we have had a good number of urban professionals, specialists, and community groups sharing their views, ideas, and perspective on many urban issues. Those who are interested and are following this webinar series for a long time, let me tell them that we are unfolding some 20 new webinars in the coming few months. And that includes a series of 6 webinars on the very special slum improvement project in Orissa. What is happening in big cities and small towns of Orissa has such potential for adoption and replication in other cities of the country that we have named the series Slums Are Solvable. And that is saying a lot. Then we have this 5-part webinar series on climate change in cities. And today is the second installment of that series. And in a series of new webinars, we are examining development challenge of selected cities of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Orissa, and Tamil Nadu. So all this put together, we are ready for at least 20 more webinars in the next 3-4 months' time. So it's quite a work for us and for everyone who's interested. And finally, though I have said it many times earlier, let me tell you once again why we are doing this webinars on Rethinking City for a long time and what are we seeking to achieve. And that is about India's urban challenge, which we consider very formidable and daunting. It is cultivating an active constituency prepared to contribute ideas, and third thing, building a wider societal partnership to meet the challenge properly. India's urban challenge is not only solving cities' current problems of water, pollution, jobs, and unplanned growth, but cities being an undisputed future of the country. And we must realize more than half of its 1,660 million people will be living in cities by 2050, in just about 25 more years. The essence of the challenge is shaping a new society. Believe me, when we talk about urbanization, we talk about cities, we are not talking anything less than shaping a new society. We are emerging as a new society. Seeing the city not only as a place, but as people also. Making cities economically productive, socially just, environmentally sustainable, politically participatory, culturally vibrant, technologically adaptive, nature sensitive, and people friendly is a stupendous task. We go on at nauseam, talk about this, but this is not easy. This is a stupendous task. We know that our cities, as they are now and as they grow, are anything but that. They are not inclusive, they are not sustainable. And the trends and signals seem tilted in the opposite direction. The first part of the challenge is undoing what is not acceptable and what is not working, finding correctives, and putting in place new systems and institutions. New systems and institutions. Nothing less will work. We need to define all those characteristics first. What is inclusivity? What is sustainability? What is resilience? What is climate responsiveness? And what is participation? Because all this demand not only non-carbon emitting fuel, but also a transparent democratic polity. This webinar series in search of those answers. It is also to build a wider societal partnership in search of new ways of planning, managing, and developing our cities. This series brings people together who know and are willing to share and contribute. With this long introduction, and before I hand over to the anchor of the day, Sanjay Bhai of Kansa, let me introduce him briefly. Sanjay Vashist Saab has been actively working towards mobilizing civil society action on climate policies and in countries of South Asia and the region. Under his leadership, CAN South Asia's membership base has increased from 20 to 210 times. NGOs spread across countries of the South Asia region. The network has successfully consolidated the climate actions of NGOs in the region and has built bridges with the government as partners. Sanjay Saab, let me tell you before I end, you have inspired me as well, and that is why we are working in Chennai. Thank you very much. Over to you, Sanjay Saab, for the next. Yes.
Thank you, Kirti Bhai. Thanks for setting the context and giving us the background why we felt that this series is very important for us, especially in the context of cities and rethinking about the way cities are developing. We have a very rich panel. I will introduce them one by one. They bring in diverse experience, a very rich analysis, and very robust way forward, which we all can learn from. So let me first straight away get into the panel here, experts. And first expert is Tanmay. Tanmay is a sustainable development professional with experience in public policy, advocacy, and strategic partnerships. He currently works for Climate Champions team for COP28. He works in Mumbai as policy advisor. He has worked in Mumbai as policy advisor to Minister of Environment at the government of Maharashtra, where he spearheaded multiple efforts ranging from getting all cities in the state committed to net zero future. Tanmay also has been a lead author on the Mumbai Climate Action Plan. Floor is yours, Tanmay, and you have 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Sanjay Ji, for the kind introduction, and thank you for having me here. Good afternoon to all my fellow panelists. So, since I've been already introduced, I'd just like to kind of sum up what my work has been about so far and then get to answering the questions about the panel. So I got my start of my career working with a young millennial politician who was very keen on working on the environment. So I had a really lucky opportunity to work with a leading state government like Maharashtra and manage all our cities' climate action plans and the state's overall climate agenda. So there I got a little bit of insight into how public policy and governance works. After that, I moved to working with the UN Climate Champions team, which runs the Race to Zero and the Race to Resilience campaigns. So in that, we engaged with cities in India across different states to get them to commit to climate action and showcase what climate action they're doing. And mainly, we work to build coalitions of cities so that we can build a shared climate narrative on how we are tackling this very important problem. I did a brief master's at Columbia University in New York, where I focused in sustainability management. But after that, I returned back to India and I took a bit of a left turn in my career and I worked in political campaigning last year on the Indian general elections and the Maharashtra state elections. In this time, I got to work with elected representatives of people who were running for office on what issues matter for them, talk to hundreds and thousands of voters on the issues that they vote for, what is material to them, and why would they vote in or vote out someone. In that time, I got to work on small things like a manifesto or getting in issues around sustainable development, clean air, urban flooding, nature-based solutions, as part of the party's political manifesto, and again, in the words of our big leaders like Aditya Thackeray. So my experience, to sum it up, has been covering cities, climate, and democracy. And it's been at kind of the intersection of public policy, international affairs, and to some degree, politics. So when we look at what has changed over the last few years and how cities are dealing with and tackling climate impacts, I think establishing a quick baseline of how cities should look at it is very important. First and foremost, climate impacts are exponential. They are additive and they're inequitable. What I mean by these is exponential in the sense that they worsen each year. So say you think that flooding is not as much of a problem as it was last year. And then this year it's a little bit more, but someone will say, this has been happening for years. So what's the chance? If it keeps increasing at this rate, it will be 10 years still before we have to really care. But it doesn't work like that. The graph is like that, says an area floods, used to flood once every 10 years. Now it'll flood once every 5 years. Before you know it, it'll flood every year. And before you know it, multiple times a year. And that's not going to be a medium-term horizon. It's going to be a very short-term horizon. And most people in my generations, especially working professionals in the field, we have seen this growing up, where we have seen our cities change in real time for the better or for worse, but we have seen how climate impacts are already adding on to a lot of the pre-existing problems that our cities have, which is exactly what I mean by the fact that climate impacts are additive, whereas say your roads are not built properly. Climate change is going to ensure that they degrade even faster. You haven't cleaned your drains in time, or the city government is not, I guess, the most proactive on delivering simple public services like that. Climate impacts are going to make that 10 times worse. So And you can see that in Mumbai right now, which you saw last week, which flooded, lots of areas were flooded. And this is something that I believe could have been easily avoided. And lastly, what I mean by climate being inequitable, it's something I'm sure everyone understands and has strong experience with, is that the ones that are the least responsible and the most vulnerable are the first to get hit. In a city like Mumbai, that means half of our population, about 52% of the folks that live in Mumbai live in informal settlements. 42% are working in the informal sector. So these are quite literally at the front lines of climate change. But at the scale at which our cities are built, this is still going to affect everyone, whether you're part of those 50%, the first 50% or the next. So with that in mind, I think we framed a lot of our work on climate initially. And I'll give the example of Mumbai, but then also the example of working in tier 2 and tier 3 cities like Nashik and Solapur and a bunch of these others, because they are inherently very different. So uh, go about the process that we did for Mumbai was um, we had to pick a globally accepted climate target to meet, which meant one thing and one thing only, that Mumbai needs to have a climate action plan that is aligned with the Paris Agreement. And by that, I mean a 1.5 degrees Celsius future of the Paris Agreement. This means for any city or any entity, even if it's a corporate that is committing to this, what this means is two things. Once you make the commitment, backed by some political or executive will, you have to publish a greenhouse gas emissions inventory and do a climate risk and vulnerability assessment. Maybe this is too strong a statement, but I strongly believe any climate action plan without any one of the two things is not a complete climate action plan. Because to understand how your city is contributing to climate, you need a strong GHG, or a greenhouse gas carbon inventory, to know what sectors make up for bigger parts of your emissions and what sectors make up for lesser parts. In the case of city like Mumbai, about 70% of the city's emissions come from the building sector. It's split evenly between commercial and residential buildings. 20% comes from transport, 8% comes from waste, and then the rest from land use and general stuff, which again is not much but very impactful. Of the grid that powers Mumbai, 95% of it runs on coal by three discoms, two private discoms, Adani and Tata Power, and then there's BEST, which is the city's discom that's in charge of this. So to know who is emitting, to how much the city is emitting, you need to work across not just government bodies, but also private bodies. Second thing that needs to be done, and is more critical for cities in the global south than anything else, is a climate risk and a vulnerability assessment. This simply means mapping out how your city is going to get affected at the ward level by impacts of climate. It could be an increasing urban heat island effect. It could be urban flooding. It could be air pollution and health hazards. It could be accidents. It could be congestion. It could be labor loss or anything like that. But you need a strong, robust, scientific framework backed climate risk and vulnerability assessment to assess that. So now when we get into looking at how do cities do this, there are tons of frameworks that come to my mind. I'm sure you have experience with a lot of these different frameworks in some capacity or the other. For a city like Mumbai, which had its own state programs, federal programs, and a lot of multilateral, bilateral agencies also wanting to work and be part of this, we had to come up with a bit of a unique solution. We had the chance of coming up with our own framework, but that wouldn't serve the purpose, because we needed a framework that built on the existing frameworks that cities already used. So this looked at, our framework, we pulled from the Smart City Mission Framework, or the CSCAF framework, which is the Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework, which is published by the National Institute of Urban Affairs. We pulled from C40's framework, the World Resources Institute, which was a knowledge partner on the Mumbai Climate Action Plan, and who did a great job at helping government build the capacity to do this. They had their own framework. So we figured the best way to do this is, and the most ultimately democratic way to do this, is align it with all the right frameworks, ensuring, of course, that these all frameworks must feed back into the 1.5 degrees Celsius goal of the Paris Agreement. So once you have agreement on that, the thing that we don't talk about a lot is building political will. Why most of the times, since you guys have worked with governments, you might notice different varying levels of attitude from different officials or political representatives. Some officials are very proactive. Some political representatives could be very proactive. No one might say no, but they might have different budgetary priorities or other priorities that are more pressing in terms of their day-to-day jobs. So how do you ensure that you can work with the government systems to ultimately act on this? And there, what we realized, a collaborative, very democratic approach was the best way forward. So when it comes to tackling climate action, I think since it has so many co-benefits, if you tackle, say, greenhouse gas emissions, you're automatically solving for traffic congestion, air pollution, green buildings, and so many other allied areas. So if you have a clear idea of how I can solve this problem to produce those co-benefits, you have a strong precedent to get together different departments' heads at a table. So the first time in the corporation's history, we were able to get together, say, the environment department, which does the health, the air quality monitoring, and then the health department, and the roads department, and the stormwater drainage department, which is quite a task if you want to coordinate them and get them all to agree without letting them feel that you're adding on to their work. So whatever climate action that you are proposing as professionals in the space, we had to ensure that this built on the work that city governments and the department officials were already doing. It should, if it kind of retracted from it or caused a problem in their existing work, it's not going to go forth. So the best way we can do it as practitioners is find out what are their main priorities, see where their budgetary powers and allocations lie, and align the work that we are proposing with those areas. And the response we got was fantastic. We had even assistant commissioners come up to us, because then they started seeing that, okay, under the climate action plan, if I solve this problem, I can pull budgetary funding for my area or department from these heads. And that automatically created a good reinforcing loop. So to quickly digress to how tier 2 cities look at it, it's very different to
Tanmay, you
Mumbai.
have 1 minute.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so before going to tier 2 cities, I'd just like to sum it up by saying that when we're talking about cities and climate action, I think there need to be 3 things that any city government that is working on it, or even us as civil society, need to look at. The first thing and foremost, I would say, is to help build executive capacity. This includes helping the city officials on understanding how this can help them do their work, and then unlocking the budgetary capacity to act on these issues. The second thing is we need civil society to be involved in every part of the process. You need to take the unions in the city as part of your consultation process. You need to talk to homeowners associations as part of your consultation process. And finally, my main point being that we need legislative backing, which means we talk about climate not being a political issue in India, but we as voters aren't really voting for that, to be very honest. But the moment you can explain to your local councillor that, hey, if you can reduce flooding in my area, you get my vote. And we do that at scale. And we use the power of civil society to build momentum towards that. I'm sure we can have a positive change. Yeah, with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanmay. Excellent insights and experience from Mumbai. Manvita, you're Director of Urban Management Center with 25 years of experience in local governance, urban planning, service delivery, heritage management, and citizen participation. You have been advising multi-state and national initiatives, and you have served as Director South Asia for ICMA and consultant to USAID and expert on World Bank programs in Afghanistan, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. I think you already have 2 questions that I handed over so that you have your talking points. So, Manvita, you have a floor. I know you need to you need to share your slides also. Do you have access to?
Yeah,
please go
I'll
ahead.
try and do that. Sure.
Please go ahead. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
will help you with that.
Sure. Thanks, Sanjay, and thanks, Kirti for putting this together. And it's always a pleasure working with you. No doubt about it. I'm going to talk about through our experience, and let me just share my slides on what Tanmay talked about Mumbai. We've been working in Chennai in a long way. And I guess you can see my slides now. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, 1 second. This is, yeah. So as Urban Management Center, we've been working in the area since last more than 25 years, and we believe that cities are at the receiving end sometimes, but the action lies with them. They have to scale up. They have to do the needful for making our cities better. And our, as Urban Management Center, is a nonprofit which has our mission. We call ourselves as mission-driven organization with mission saying making cities better for everyone, and that requires more equitable attitude and also our approach to what we do as cities. Urban Management Center was founded in I can't move my slides for some reason. The slides.
Chandrika, you have Chitrakshi, you have the slides?
No, she doesn't have slides. I'm not.
Then
one
escape
second.
Manvita and then don't
Yeah,
put a full slide mode.
Okay. I'll not put the full slide. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been working for building resilient systems for inclusive and equitable development across uh, 3 levels and also with communities. So we work with national governments, state governments, and local governments, but the action we understand is at the local governments. But collectively, when they have to bargain, they have to talk to the state, and a lot of funding from in India is top driven. So national governments also are very important when we talk of action. So fortunately, have embedded teams in ministries of social justice and also urban development. We also work with many state governments, currently in 5 of them, and about 15 local bodies where we call them local bodies is a South Asia context. So local government units or local government organizations. So we're embedded in a few of them. Then we work with communities to create an action as a grassroots, and they talk about these experiences above. So it's a bottom-up approach when we do. Now, we know there have been deaths, there have been flooding, and Tanmay already spoke about it. So where do you think is the real risk and climate risk in cities, and why is it getting escalated? It is mainly because of the urban growth, weak reinforcement of environmental rules, natural ecosystems are disturbed, climate change and more extreme weather events keep happening, lack of coordination and insufficient investment, all of which Tanmay has already spoken. And what is our experience in Chennai is what I'm going to elaborate on that. We've also made a climate action plan, and in Greater Chennai Corporation, currently we're working on 3rd master plan process in Chennai and how to embed all these climate actions into the statutory planning process, because until we do that, things won't move. It has to be backed by, a statutory reasons for it. We are also working in Guwahati. So my experience is now I'm pulling in from Chennai and Guwahati. So in Chennai, if you are talking, we have how did we get started? It was working with the government, working with the civil society, and coming out with strategies and identification, and then understanding the GHG inventory. As we all know, data, how important it is across departments is varied, and consolidating this data and the framework which we use was C40 framework. They were our partners in the whole process. The emissions, as we all know, was calculated. Baseline assessment was undertaken, which was extremely, extremely difficult to converge data, different. We all know how, unfortunately, our cities or states don't keep appropriate data. But we have seen the trend where how floods and storms keep coming, the heat waves and the urban heat island effects is taking over. There are droughts. So one time it floods, the other time there's a drought, and there is constant sea rise level. So Chennai has been really facing a lot of these issues. The large part of our work was undertaking mapping exercise, which has given very interesting findings as well, and which has been validated by the settlements, by the government, and by the communities themselves. Now, if you talk of flood risks, at the written period of 5 years, about 29% of the Chennai Corporation area was at the risk of flood inundation. If you take off about 25-year period, it's about 46. In a 100-year period, about more than 50% of GCC would be flood inundation. Now, this created a lot of ripples in when the report was out and was being discussed. But it is true in the sense, if we plan our infrastructure in the areas where are more flood risks, this would give a more visual exercise how to plan better, and hence we are really talking of embedding this understanding as part of our the statutory planning processes. Now, what we found due to our mapping, and you can see it here, the slum and the low-lying areas where mostly the low-income housing were being planned are going to be affected. And the second effect would be to the health infrastructure. Unfortunately, the areas which were more flood prone had a risk of population which were going to access the health infrastructure. So you will be, always have a double problem. There would be flooding and you will be anyways affected by it, and then you will not be able to access the health infrastructure. Similarly, if you talk of fire services and the impact was decreased due to waterlogging, you cannot access these facilities. So how do you plan these services and where do you do it? Was a very important findings which we were talking about. If you see disaster relief centers, again, unfortunately, what was being planned were areas which were low-lying and were in the risk of flood inundation. And that's the problem of our cities. If you see Mumbai last week's issues as well, we still are planning our infrastructure which are in areas which are really at risk. So looking at this mapping
Manvita, please conclude soon.
exercise. Sorry?
Please conclude soon. It's 10 minutes.
Yes. So I wanted to show you all these maps, which coming to this very important slide, I'll try and talk about how existing institutional structure, whether it's a city level, state level, and the center, is so fragmented. And if you're going to look at, say, whether mitigation or adaptation aspect, which department of the state, which department of the city, and which ministry gets affected. So it's a collusive, exercise to who do you approach, how do you approach, and what actions do you need to take. That's the analysis which needs to work. We need to work on institutional restructuring, if at all, by creating just a cell or a department within the state government will not help. It has to be much more than what we see on the surface. I'll stop here, but if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take. Thank you.
Thanks, Manvita. I think infographics were very helpful to understand. It's really good. Jayanta, well, me and Jayanta has been working for last so many years together on climate issues. He's one of the experts on climate change from Eastern India. He understands Sundarbans like anything. He has been researching in Sundarbans and has been a strong advocate of Sundarbans. He's also an environment and climate correspondent with Telegraph and faculty member at the University of Kolkata, known for its work on climate change in Eastern India. And he has been covering international meetings very regularly and has been chasing policymakers to bring some desired change. Jayanta and me has co-convened Kolkata Climate Action Plan, and this plan is in public domain now. Jayanta, you have a space.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. It's a pleasure and privilege to be part of it. Very august panel. I'm just sharing my presentation. But as the presentation being shared, Kirti Bhai and Sanjay and my fellow panelists, I think wonderful discussion. I was hearing Tanmay Ji and then the subsequent one. My presentation is can be seen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, as I said, that as Sanjay has already mentioned, that myself and Sanjay being part of this whole process. In fact, we are co-conveners of Kolkata Climate Fact Plan, which has been launched last 5th June. You can have a look at it. And then before I delve directly into Kolkata Climate Action Plan, the earlier two presentations have very clearly discussed the nitty-gritties and how you kind of interface with society, with politicians and all that. I just mentioned one simple point before going into the presentation directly. See, when we do anything at the social level, at the political level, there are three categories. One is the decision driver, one is the decision pusher, and one is the decision implementer. The decision drivers are the academics. With their studies, the evidences, scientific evidences, they drive the decision. And then the pushers are media, communication people who actually push it, play a key role. And then the decision makers are the politicians and the executives. Very fortunate to be part of the earlier two. I'm a faculty in Calcutta University, being in academics. Just I think about a week back, an international paper in Springer book chapter has been published on Kolkata's climate action plan, where I am a co-writer, and also being a journalist, as Sanjay has pointed out. So with that background, let me go directly to my presentation. Sanjay has posed two questions. One is about how the climate change is happening in the city, in my city, Kolkata, or Calcutta, as we used to call before, and also some case studies. I try to accommodate that within a 10-12 minutes presentation. See, very clearly, if you look at the Kolkata and if you look at the AR reports, assessment reports of IPCC, you will find there are several mentions of Kolkata, and Kolkata being very close to Sundarbans. In fact, at this point of time, I'm working on the vulnerability audit of Sundarban along with as a consortium, part of consortium of IIT Kharagpur, and also UNDP's work on preparing West Bengal's climate finance infrastructure. So considering all those inputs, if you look at the IPCC report, you can see that there's increasing risks, loss of green cover. Kolkata is already one of the poorest green stretch in the metro cities. And that has been severely impacted by a series of cyclones, one after another. We don't have adequate resilience plan. The disaster mortality is expected to be high, drought rates, flooding. Kolkata flooding is extremely high. In fact, as a matter of fact, I don't know how many of us have noticed, in this particular year, this monsoon, all the metro cities, Kolkata, Mumbai, Delhi are suffering huge amount of flooding. So that's can't be a coincidence. It has to have some kind of a correlation. If you look at the storm surge, cyclone surge, in fact, Kolkata can be called the cyclone capital in the country among the metro cities. We have, as I mentioned, Sundarban is pretty close, 100 kilometers. And Sundarban region is, if you look at the this bank of India, is one of the most affected part is Odisha and Sundarban and the Bangladesh. So we are having all those cyclones. Sea level rise, the sea level rise close to Kolkata around Diamond Harbour is highest in the country, being officially acknowledged. And it is quite high compared to the global average. But the most important thing, what I should mention here, the temperature rise. AR6 report says that in the last 50 years, 1950 to 2018, 60 years, the average temperature rise in Kolkata was highest, 2.6 degree. In fact, it is 2.66 degree among all the 20 regions considered globally, and Kolkata being followed by Tehran and Moscow. So that underlines the threat perception of Kolkata, that if you look at the rainfall and others, everything is quite high. Heat wave, heat island phenomena, everything. And if we look at the future prediction, this is something I have worked with Professor Shubhimal Ghosh of IIT Mumbai, who is also a member of Kolkata's Climate Action Plan Committee, and a scientist, Professor Islam from Dhaka. And this is what we have found, that as per the IPCC prediction, if we go by the worst possible scenario, that the 8.5 scenario, you will find that Kolkata's temperature rise can be as high as 4.5 degrees centigrade by 2080, and we can reach a highest temperature of about 50 degrees centigrade. About 150 days, we can be having over 35 degrees centigrade. So that's all. So very clearly, the threat perception, the present and the future threat perception, Sanjay, as you mentioned, are clearly vindicated here. Now, with this background, Kolkata started the process in 2022 when, with the kind support of Sanjay and the cancer, Kolkata took the anti-fossil fuel pledge. You can see Sanjay with our mayor and a very senior minister in the government, Mr. Firad Hakim, and Mr. Debashish Kumar, also an MLA, who is being part of last 3 COPs in cancer meeting. They are releasing that document. And now, as a follow-up to that, the mayor announced the Kolkata Climate Action Plan after a lot of discussion between all of us. And a pan-India committee is being formed, mayor being the chair. That underlines the political will of the government. And that plan has been just released. Consultation, follow-up consultation is ongoing as of now. Now, very quickly rushing through the objective. Main objective is to map a pragmatic and doable solution. We can talk about a lot of kind of solutions, but we need to map which are doable and pragmatic, time-bound. So we are basically targeting maximum emission reduction as possible under the scenario, make it inclusive for all segments of city population, in particularly the urban poor, the slum population, and prioritize action based on evidences linked with SDGs, particularly those related to climate change. So that's, and you can see the basic parameters we are looking at. And our observation is, core Kolkata is only part of the bigger Kolkata. So we need to consider the whole process. We need to prioritize areas like industries, transport, slum and skyscrapers, both. Strong awareness, communication strategy being part of the communication sector that helps. See, and also I think a very important point I would like to share with my fellow panelists and all those who are being part of it is that we could not get hold to a net zero target straight away. It was being decided by the team that we can't have a single net zero target. We can have sector-wise target. So that's something we look at. The gender and children issue is very important, and we are considering that. And we are also scoping the fund, because unless you have the fund, there's very difficult to take it further forward. And we are now in the process of linking this with the state level climate finance architecture planning. As I said, I'm advisor to that as well. So that helps. So focusing on both mitigation and adaptation, these are the basic areas. Temperature, if you look at the demographic shift, the core Kolkata is not increasing the way the bigger
Jayanta,
Kolkata
1
is
minute.
increasing.
Jayanta, 1 minute.
Okay. How much time?
1 minute.
Okay. So finally, I'm just going to the final part. As I mentioned, the slum areas are very, very impacted. So we can see that. And then finally, I go to the recommendation. I just take 1 minute here. That these are the top 30 recommendations that being finalized, where the industrial policy, East Kolkata wetlands, heat action plan, very importantly, climate smart slum, which are really, really we are keen about. So these are prevention of biomass burning. So that's the main part. And we are setting up specific targets. These are now in discussion with the Kolkata Municipal Corporation, which part will start when, and the budget part of it. And finally, the sectors, out of the 11 sectors, the air pollution and climate link actions are being prioritized. And as a case study part of it, Kolkata already there are 13 carbon neutral parks under this, in relation to this program. As of the greenery part is also being quite enhanced, whatever possible. And one most important thing that Kolkata is having a lot of malaria and dengue cases. Now they have a year-round program to counter that. And that's kind of a climate adaptation we are looking at. So way forward is linking with state climate action plan, political approval and unanimity, and also the fiscal challenge, and also needs national and global positioning. Cancer playing already a key role. And we are now doing the further stakeholder discussions. Financial and communication plan are now in the advanced stage. And we are now in discussion with KMC to finalize the whole thing. Thank you, Sanjay. That's for me.
Thank you, Jayanta. That's very comprehensive, and I think you covered a very detailed report in last 10 minutes. Michael.
Sanjay Baba, can I take a half a second time? What I'm saying is this, that, and I do understand, I think your compulsions that, we have a time limit to complete this.
Yeah.
What I suggest is this, if you don't mind, like, this presentation is so rich in terms of what they contain.
They are.
Both Manvita, Dr. Basu. I personally don't mind overstepping 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. We have done webinars, 2-hour webinars, which have spilled over for 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is this, that if you're okay, be a little more lenient in terms of allowing
Kirti bhai, I
people
think,
to.
yeah, there is a reason why I'm actually limiting to 10 minutes, because after that people lose their concentration. And that's one reason why too much information doesn't absorb among the participant, and that is one reason why I'm limiting to 10 minutes. 10 minutes sounds very longer time, but they are not.
It's not.
But unfortunately, we have to keep it crisp.
Only thing people are Amitabh Bachchans, and therefore
I
they
know, I
will
know, I
catch
know
us
they
for a
are.
bit
They
of
are.
time.
Ideally,
No, but
we
you
should have.
decide. It's
No,
your.
no. Ideally, we should have. Let's stick to 10 minutes, Kirti bhai, because this is more about policy interventions, and
Okay.
since we have agreed on 90 minutes and our participants have joined in a good faith
Sure.
that this event, they may have more commitments
Sure.
after 4:30 p.m. So that is one reason why I'm actually suggesting let's keep it to 10 minutes, and also that will be unfair for those who has already completed their presentation, that we stop them in 10 minutes and rest of the half of the panel gets extra minute. Yeah, let's keep it that way. Thanks. Michael sorry about that, but I think we are all fascinated about information and knowledge, but we have to keep in
No, I
mind.
understand.
Yes. So Michael brings in the 40 years of DFID, UN Habitat and UNDP on projects that build partnership between local government and urban poor communities. UN Habitat, as he has been a country representative to UN Habitat in Afghanistan. He has worked in Sri Lanka, India, Cambodia, Vietnam, Bangladesh. Very rich experience. He's also worked as consultant to Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Government of India. So Michael, you have the floor.
Thank you very much indeed for your introduction. Can you hear me? It's okay?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, please go back to the title slide, and I will say next when to put the next one on. Yeah, my 45 years in Asia has included 18 years in India. I started out in Baroda at MS University, and then I was at Anna University, and later on I was the manager of the DFID's Urban Poverty Program based in Delhi. So, but when I was a student at what was then the Architectural Association, before it became the Development Planning Unit, climate design was also one of the subjects covered in a master's program. And Otto Königsberger and others wrote a book, I think more than 50 years ago, that covers the main aspects of climate design. And I want to focus on one particular aspect, and that's climate change and extreme heat in urban areas. Next slide, please. Can you put the next slide? Thank you. We have building regulations that are primarily concerned about structural stability and the strength of the buildings and to ensure that they are weatherproof. But what is not included, as far as I'm aware, in many countries are building regulations that deal with heat. And this is largely ignored. And poor design and quality of construction can mean that we have buildings that are extremely difficult for people to live in. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we can get internal temperature and humidity. That means that it is very difficult for people to stay inside the buildings. And it's mostly women and children and elderly who are affected by that. And what I want to do is to demonstrate that there are some simple things we can do to mitigate the effect of extreme heat within buildings, and that are very practical things that poor communities as well as cities can engage in. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. When we look at response to extreme heat, we can see that we can look at the climate zones in India, and the response needs to vary according to the type of heat. Primarily, we're concerned about, go back, please. Yeah, hot to dry climates, which are the red parts, warm, humid climates, and then we have composite and temperate and cool. And the design response in terms of buildings should differ according to the type of climate that people are living in. Next slide, please. Yeah. No, sorry, thank you. In hot, dry, and warm, warm, humid climates, the urban heat island effect can even increase temperatures in the cities by up to 10 degrees centigrade. And this is the difference is primarily caused by replacement of natural land cover with concrete and roads and so on and other buildings. And we are attempting to reduce the urban heat island by the greening of cities. And that's not just a matter of putting in some plants, but it depends on what type of plants are suitable for that particular climate, and also for the soil conditions. In a previous INHAF presentation, we saw a very good presentation from Chandigarh, and there is an urban forestry department that helps the city make decisions on how the city can be greened and what can be the impact and what type of plantations are most suitable for the maximum effect of this. Next slide, please. And we also had another in our presentation written by Amita, who did some excellent work. And this is just the title slide from her presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah, and she particularly talked about the effect of greening different types of trees, which types are more effective in terms of reducing the urban heat island. Next, please. And this is the impact of different types of surfaces. We can see, for example, a blacktop road can bring temperatures up to 61 degrees. Red pavements also can add another 20 degrees. So it also depends on the surfacing, the extent of concrete, the extent of blacktops and so on within cities, which can make urban heat island impact even worse. Next slide, please. And I want to come on to some practical examples which building regulations could help us on, and some existing situations where there are some examples of good design. In a warm, humid area, we're looking about the flow of air through the buildings, and obviously if the single rooms have ventilation on both sides, there's a good impact. And this is a nice design actually from Yangon in Myanmar, where you have full height windows divided into 3 parts. The bottom part can be opened, so the places where most people sit and sleep, you can get air flowing through that. And the upper part can also be opened, so there is a flow of air between the bottom part and the upper part. And also the central area can be opened. So with very practical design, we can make the interior of our buildings much cooler and much more livable. Next slide, please. Yeah, something that has recently become beginning to become quite popular is the reduction of extreme heat in buildings by white painting. In India, there is now reflective white paint available, which again can reduce the internal temperature by up to 5 degrees. And this is something that is very cheap to do, is very good for painting the tin roofs and other different types of roofs that in houses that very poor people live in, and something that's very practical. And there are some good examples in Ahmedabad where this has been done quite extensively. And it's something people can do themselves, and it really makes living conditions considerably better by a 5-degree reduction of internal temperature. Next slide, please. Yeah, in hot, dry climates, there is also this effect of using the hot air to in fact suck dry and cooler air from the lower parts of the building and out through the upper parts. And we can see here actually in Hyderabad in Pakistan, it has been extensively used. But there are examples also in many other cities where what is called the stack effect can be used. Again, by a good design of the building, that means that we are creating a cooler environment, a cooler internal environment. Next slide, please.
Michael, 1 minute.
Thank you. We are concerned about people dying as a result of high temperatures. But one of the problems poor people face is going for treatment for other illnesses that compound the problem because of the high cost. And while we talk a lot about the health relations, one problem is poor people often are afraid to access health facilities because of the cost. And therefore, we are increasing the impact of people either becoming very sick or in some cases dying as a result of high temperature. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah, and this refers to Königsberger's book of 50 years ago that also includes something called comfort zone, which takes into account relative humidity, air temperature, and also wind flow. And if we can quickly go on to the next slide, we can see how this works. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is an analysis showing what is the comfort zone in a building and how can we design to maximize the effect of this. Next slide, please. Yeah, and there are simple things that people can do. Putting in a ceiling into poor houses, here a split bamboo ceiling also makes a big difference. Next slide. Yeah, the design of shading devices is also very important. If we see a building that has overhangs that are all the same on all 4 elevations, it means the architect doesn't understand how to design shading devices, and there are ways of calculating according to the latitude and also the position of the sun, how we can ensure that openings and doors and windows are protected in the hottest periods of the year. Next, please. Yeah, one thing we often do is we put
Michael, if you can conclude now.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, then just show the last slide, please. Yeah, one problem that was briefly touched on here, and that is that in India, about 70 to 75% of energy is produced by coal-fired means. The voters are only concerned about having electricity. They're not so concerned about how it is produced. And this is a major battle. In Bangladesh, for example, it is around 25%, whereas in India, 70 or 75% of energy is produced from coal-fired sources. Okay, please. I would suggest that we have building regulations that incorporate climate design, and also that climate design is a compulsory part of schools of architecture and planning. And Just as students have to pass engineering design courses, they should also have to pass climate design courses. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. May I invite Mr. McCarthy? Mr. McCarthy, if you can introduce yourself very briefly, and you have 10 minutes. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Reginald J. Millarez, currently designated as officer in charge of the Department of Environmental Services under the City Government of Makati. A little bit, I would like to present the Makati City Climate Change Strategic Approach. First and foremost, bonjour. Good afternoon, everyone. Mabuhay from the Philippines. I'd like to share with you the experience of Makati City Government in the Philippines in engaging our stakeholders to consultative, participatory, and inclusive climate actions. It is not an easy journey as we navigated through the pandemic and changed our approach in planning to be relevant and responsive to the emerging needs and newly reality of the
Sir, you are on mute.
So, McCarthy, you are on mute. You need to unmute yourself. Can Chitrakshi unmute Mr. McCarthy as a host?
No, sir.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah. But first, I would like to show to you the framework on how we evolve our current plans, policies, and investment. It not happened overnight, but it's a product of continuous innovations, forward-looking, overcoming obstructions and challenges. It shows the importance of the data information as a critical parameter for a science-based or evidence-based risk-sensitive planning. We also have benchmarking in developing our current developments. The Makati Atlas is a product of a study visit to Kyoto, Ecuador through the World Bank from South to South project. Next slide. Climate change was already being integrated to all of the environmental plans. Our comprehensive land use plan, zoning ordinance, and the comprehensive development plan were all based on climate and disaster risk assessment. Next slide. Evidence-based and science-based planning is a critical tradition in city planning in Makati. The use of data information is a crucial part in all of the city's assessment activities, based from the hazard and risk assessment conducted by the city in 2021 and 2023. Makati is vulnerable to flooding, and our efforts are geared towards in reducing flooding, if not proofing the city. Next slide. Based from Makati greenhouse gas inventory of 2021, the city is generating an estimated carbon emissions of 1.6 million tons of carbon dioxide. Next slide. With that data, a city resolution calling for climate emergency and called for climate action, and by year 2023, a city ordinance defining the city's target by year 2030 and year 2050 compliant to Paris Agreement and through the local climate change action plan. Next slide. Given the city's emission reduction target, our climate actions are geared towards the achievement of the said goal. Next slide. Next slide, please. The Makati Climate Change Committee, tasked to implement programs and projects, monitor and manage activities, are composed of private organizations, the academe, the national government agencies, including departments and offices of the city government of Makati. Next slide. Some of the city's interventions, including capacity building, design updating to include rainwater facilities or rainwater harvesting, and the acquisition of e-vehicles and charging stations. Next slide. Install. Next slide. These are some of our partners. Engaging our communities and stakeholders doesn't stop in the consultation, collection of data, information, and stories, but they are a crucial part in the planning process. They know best their respective areas in updating local climate action plan. They provided ground experiences and stories that validated assessment and reviews conducted. Next slide. We consulted our vulnerable sectors like the senior citizens, persons with determinations, women, children, and of course, the youth. Next slide. Our internal stakeholders, the member of the Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council, the Makati Climate Change Committee, the sectoral representatives, their task in integrating DRR projects into a more integrated and holistic approach program for funding and implementation. Next slide, please. As an impact of climate change, the occurrence of El Nino has brought drought in the city. But due to the city's anticipatory planning, drought has brought minimal impact to the city. But still, the city conducted consultations and identified areas for intervention and sharing of best practices, such as from the water concessionaires, utility companies, schools, private corporations, hotels, as well as national agencies, the NGOs, and the community leaders. Next slide. It is important that the city officials and staff are constantly updated, well-rounded, and knowledgeable. In collaboration with one of the best management schools in Asia, we were immersed on future thinking, including local international experiences. It is not enough that we engage our stakeholders, but we must enable them so that our partnership can be sustained, their decisions are well informed, and their actions validated. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide again. The members of the Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council in action, doing resilience planning with an output of a concrete project for implementation, with the end view of doing the backcasting, providing a roadmap in attaining a sponge city called Makati using nature-based solutions, legislative actions, AI, and Internet of Things, partnership and collaborations,
Please
and
conclude, Mr.
that is the
McCarthy.
journey we are taking, and we are inviting you to join us.
Please conclude.
Next
Mr.
slide. Next slide, please. With that, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy, for sticking to 10 minutes deadline. Thanks, Eresha. Next 10 minutes for you. Eresha is a Deputy Director, Engineering, Land Management, and Environment Development at Colombo Municipal Council. She specializes in assessing, designing, and implementing sustainable solutions in public park management, city landscape development, resource conservation, and with a solid foundation in transportation engineering, she has successfully managed projects involving transportation planning and implementation. Asha, you have a floor, 10 minutes, and then we will have 10 minutes of discussion.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eresha. Today, I'm going to presenting case studies on climate resilience and mitigation measures in relation Colombo. First, the purpose of my presentation today is to showcase Colombo as a case study for city-scale climate action. I will highlight the key climate changes the city face, the resilience and mitigation measures we have taken, and the partnerships that support these efforts. In case of Colombo, it's located in the wet zone of the country, experience rainfall throughout the year. Main climate risk we have is flooding because of wetland loss and sea level rise due to the soil coastal erosion, water scarcity, mosquito-borne illness, air pollution, soil erosion. These are causes and effects of climate change. I think everyone of you know that. Then why climate resilience and mitigation matters for Colombo? Colombo as a coastal, densely urbanized city faces a growing risk from rising temperatures, extreme rainfall and flooding. Climate change has already led to tree falls, drainage failures, coastal erosion, health challenges and livelihood disruptions, threatening both urban safety and economic stability. This is to strengthening climate resilience and mitigation is vital to safeguard communities, infrastructure, and the city's sustainable growth. When it comes to the Colombo, its dense built-up areas and limited greenery are driving higher local temperatures, worsening heat stress for residents, especially in our Colombo North area. Rapid development and climate pressures are shrinkage natural habitats, leading to declining species and reduced ecosystem services. These are the climate resilience and mitigation actions. Urban greenery is important for reducing heat and improving air quality. Flood mitigation is achieved by protecting wetlands and upgrading drainage systems. Proper solid waste management is also essential, alongside promoting the use of renewable energy. Identify risky trees, providing early warning systems, and implementing climate adaptive urban planning also key measures. Now I'm going to present the past initiatives we have implemented. Colombo promotes urban resilience through expanding and maintaining green spaces, managing risky trees, and developing landscaping solutions to reduce heat and flooding. In parallel, proper solid waste management, including a waste-to-energy plant and tree awareness, these all support sustainable city development. These photos show some projects we have done for enhanced urban greenery. Colombo city covers 37 square kilometers but has very limited public spaces. These are three main parks we have. One Vihara Mahadevi Park, Pro Island Beach Park, Satutuyana. We have significantly improved these areas to enhance recreational facilities for the public. As I mentioned, our prime objective is to greening every possible inch of the city. This is a real example for that. Actually, this picture shows maintaining green belts alongside the roads, both sides of the road, not only road sides, in the center medians, roundabouts, triangles, everywhere we are promoting trees because of this, the requirement of greenery in the city. And also in this area, it's the Vihara Mahadevi Park. It's also highly dense in trees. Changes in rainfall intensity, wind patterns by the urbanization have increased in tree falls in the city. Tragic incident occurred in 2023 where a tree fall on the public bus causing 5 fatalities. As a preventive measures, dedicated teams are now deployed to identify and manage risky trees. Also, we are maintaining proper green belt to reduce heat and absorb water. Actually, this mitigate flooding as well. You can see that there are large trees in the roadsides. There is shrubs. There is a small trees that we are maintaining them properly. Also, we are conducting awareness program for general public, also kids, to promote home composting as well as sustainable gardening practices with biodegradables. These are the now I'm going to talk about the ongoing projects. This first one is urban forest. To enhance green cover, urban forest being developed in small land patches along roadsides and selected city locations. One project has already been completed at the Colombo entrance near Paliagoda, which another proposed near Totalanga Junction. It's also we have to be implemented. In addition, that in the second photo shows the cycling event. Several initiatives are underway to promote cycling, including Cycling Sundays, where in collaboration with private partners, bicycles are provided for use along designated roads. In the third photo shows the ongoing tree surveys because, as I told earlier, to identify the risky trees and treat them, we are doing tree surveys using specialized teams. Colombo's densely populated city where most residents lack adequate space within own premises. Therefore, these three parks, Vihara Mahadevi Park, Blue Island Beach Park, and Satutiyana, serve as the main recreational areas. To enhance their value, we are taking necessary measures to upgrade facilities and improve tree cover within the parks. You can see that the number of roundabouts, these number of roundabouts, center islands, and triangles that have been converted from paved areas to green spaces. These interventions help reduce the urban heat island effect, enhance the city's aesthetic value, improve ground permeability, and contribute to flood mitigation. Proper solid waste management is a key role addressing climate challenges in the city. Colombo operates a waste-to-energy plant at Keravalapitia. Not only that, we are doing waste segregation, fine soil sustainable disposal facilities, improving recycled waste, public awareness regarding segregation and triage practices. Also, I'm going to talk about the planned projects. Expanding urban greening concept, special tree treatments, energy generation plants through methane capture project, improvement in cycle tracks as a private project, shuttle bus services. As mentioned earlier, our prime objective is to expand urban greenery across the city with the active participation of both private sector and the community. We also promote solar lighting and rainwater harvesting in public areas as well. Transport play a key role in urban air pollution. To reduce vehicle congestion, we plan to implement congestion pricing for city entry, providing parking facilities within the city limits to park private vehicles and use public transport within the city. Also, we are promoting cycling. It's being promoted through designated routes that cover major city roads, including areas near five-star hotels, and allowing tourists to also to rent bicycles. Additionally, a shuttle service within city being developed to provide convenient mobility for both residents and tourists. Also, we are promoting electrical vehicles based on supply renewable energy, especially solar power. This map shows the distribution of green spaces and recreation facilities across Colombo. Our plan focuses on ensuring an equitable allocation of public spaces and green areas throughout the city. We transform small-scale or underutilized playgrounds and children's parks into pocket parks and enhance greenery in these. Also, first picture shows the top one shows the current condition of cemeteries within the city. Our vision is to reimagine these spaces as serene public gardens by improving circulation and introducing landscaping features. This transformation has already begun at our cemetery. Actually, most roadside trees in Colombo are over 100 years old, requiring a dedicated professional team for monitoring, maintenance, and protection. Since private premises lack adequate space for planting, public spaces must be provided and managed with special care. We estimate that approximately 100,000 trees are located within the city. We are seeking funds to develop a tree inventory and database to support monitoring and complaint management. Finance and governance. We are conducting several projects with organizations such as World Bank, Asian Development Bank, UN Habitat, UNDP. Rise Up is also one of the project conducting with UN Habitat, which is for find solutions throughout the underserved settlements. Also, another project, energy generation plant through methane capture using biodegradable waste. It is by Seoul Metropolitan Government.
Chef, you can conclude, please. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, this is my conclusion. The Colombo's journey shows that with partnerships, good governance, and sustainable investments, cities can transform challenges into opportunities and contribute meaningful to both national and global climate goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Eresha. Thank you very much, excellent panel. We have 9 minutes and floor is open for discussion. I think there are questions. Okay, they have been answered. There were 2 questions in the Q&A. They have been answered. So any participant who would like to make a comment, ask a question, clarification, please raise your hand and we will give you mic to speak. Any question? And I think panelists can also ask questions to each other. So feel free to ask questions.
I see a few questions in the chat box.
Ji Kirti ji, sir.
No, not me. I just thought someone should look into this. That appears to me there are a few questions in the chat
There were
box.
a few questions, 2 questions in.
I think there are 2 questions. I have responded to them.
Yeah, thanks, Jayanta. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So if there are more questions, more afterthoughts that have come to your mind, feel free to ask.
I would actually like to answer one of the questions that's
yes, Tanmay, please go ahead.
Asked in the chat. I think it's from Rahul. He's asking, are there any good examples where a state or city has created a cell/central department to coordinate climate action planning across departments? So it's a very pertinent question. I would say, objectively put, most of the effective cells that we have seen have been in cities in the global north. In cities in the global south, usually the budgets that we have in our cities are not nearly as big as the ones that global north cities have. New York is going to have a much more dedicated climate resilience and sustainability unit embedded in it. Boston has a climate commissioner, for example. And when we were setting up the climate action cell for the Mumbai BMC, we realized that global north cities usually are very well prepared. And the thing that influences that, in my opinion, is not just budgetary backing, but also legislative backing, because a lot of these cities have laws mandating that their cities reduce emissions and address climate impacts. In India, we have mainly done it through the policy arm. So it's not as much legislative in India as much as it has been executive. So that presents a bit of a challenge in allocating, say, more budgets and giving some teeth to it. But Indian cities also, of course, have climate action cells. In Mumbai, what we did was we empowered the environment department, increased the budget a little and added climate to the mandate. But the reality of Indian cities is that our environment or even Indian state governments or even the federal government is that the environment department is very small. It is nowhere at the same level as a roads or a stormwater drainage department in Mumbai. So usually getting the heads of those departments to collaborate on something is not something that's usually observed. So you need more interesting governance mechanisms in place. While cells are very useful in terms of building capacity to implement, we also need a high-level convening body headed by, say, the standing committee chairman or the mayor or the urban development minister, these kind of figureheads, along with commissioners, to ensure that this is happening. But yes, that's what happens.
That's helpful.
If I can add a few more
Please,
examples.
Manvita.
I mean, state government in Tamil Nadu has a cell. They also, I mean, doing very systematic work. A lot of studies commissioned. There's multilateral funding as well. And cities in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, Surat also have city-specific cells. So, but just making a cell is not enough. By statutory embedding these programs, projects, and looking at all the infrastructure, any other programs with climate lens is need of an hour.
Yeah.
And I guess with Calcutta's example also, it is very evident.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think there is one question from Noor Zalina Harun, and Jayanta, if you can also touch upon that while making your intervention, that based on experience, the greatest hurdles in certain cities to convince local authorities to work on the greeneries, as the impact of green infrastructure can be set as less tangible in reference to urban heat management. Can you share your experience in working with a local authority?
Come in here.
Please, Jayanta, go ahead.
No, just would like to build up on what Manvita and Tanmay has just said, is that I think just doing a cell is not very important. It's very important to have a functional cell. And I also believe it is very important to have political ownership. I have, while doing the Kolkata Climate Action Plan, Sanjay and I, we have looked around the climate action plans being done for various cities across the world, including in India, in South Asia. We have found in various places there has been less political ownership of the process, and that's very important to have political ownership. But also another part is very important, at least in Indian context, to link the city climate action plan with the state climate action plan. It is hardly being done. If you look at the MOEFCC, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change mandate, every state is preparing a climate action plan. But at least for West Bengal, I know, my friends told for other states as well, it's not being linked to the city-specific plans in that way. So that is very important. We tried that because Anumita from CSE, she has been the knowledge partner of the state climate action plan. We have kept Anumita Sanjay in the city climate action plan to have that linkage. So I think that is very important. But I also take this opportunity of so many eminent persons out here is, Sanjay, why don't Kansa take a more stronger role in allowing us to learn and unlearn from each other? I was just hearing, I think, one of the panelists talking about I think from a friend from Sri Lanka, talking about the dangerous trees and all that. We are doing a survey in West Kolkata on the tree census, and we have a detailed road-wise tree census. We can tell you which road have how many trees, after each cyclone, how many trees are going down, every data we are having. So this is an opportunity. If we can interact with each other and learn and unlearn from each other, that will be a wonderful way forward.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jayanta. Well, we are receiving congratulations and thank you messages in the chat box. There is a question on how can we know more about rainwater harvesting? How can we know more? I think it's a Shanti. There's plenty of information online on rainwater harvesting, how to install it, what are the benefits, technically how robust it is. So maybe I would request you to please go through the Google, and you will get a lot of links to enrich your information. So that's one. Any last minute comment, Kirtiji, or you can also conclude.
No, thank you very much. Just there is not time, and therefore I don't think I will go into the content part of the discussion. I just have one or two operational things to mention. One is this, that there's some remarkably good slides. And if it's possible, I'm requesting my colleague Chitrakshi to reach out to everyone and collect those slides and then make them available, because there is so much to learn from them. That's number one. Number two is this, that if anyone is interested, we would be out with the recording of this meeting by tomorrow afternoon. And this is on INHAF's website. We, as a matter of fact, have 133 recordings already. So anyone who wants to access, please do that, and I think we'll be very delighted. The third thing is this, that Sanjay Bhai, you made me think. The next webinar on this particular subject, the third in the chain, takes place on 2nd of September, exactly after a week. And I'm a bit concerned about this time elements, and I would want to talk to, I think, our colleagues, including you, because you are a partner in this whole thing, and we would see how to manage that. That's the third thing. And the fourth thing is this, that I must personally thank everyone who's here, and I will do it with name: Reginald Saab from Makati, Jayanta Basu Saab from Calcutta, Manvita Ji from, of course, Ahmedabad back home. Tanmay Bhai, we have got to kind of start working on Nasik immediately. But thank you very much. Very nice, terrific. Sanjay Bhai, I think, thank you very much. Mike, I must thank Mike. Mike is not well. As a matter of fact, I wrote him a worried letter that would you be able to manage? So he's not only managed, I think he's in Bangkok taking his medicines, but he's around and he made a very good presentation. And Eresha, I think, is very good because that's for very practical, pragmatic, I think, doesn't require huge amount of money, nature-based solutions, simple things. So thank you very, very much to all of you, and grateful for making time for this. You learned a lot, and we continue doing so. So please, those who are interested, please come and join same time, 3 o'clock on 2nd of September. That's the third part of the series on climate change. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sanjay Baba. Tanmay bhai,
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
तन्मय
Thank
भाई
you.
जरा बात करते हैं जल्दी हाँ
Yes,
Jayanta, very glad that I met you and you're doing some wonderful work. There's so much to learn from you. We're going to come back to you in pretty soon. I'll tell you why. We've just done a very interesting disaster history study of Chennai, and I'm going to share it with you to get your feedback with, as a matter of fact, everyone. So thank you very much, and great opportunity to learn and meet you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirti. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Manvita. Thank you, Eresha. Thank you, Chitrakshi. And thank you, Reginald Saab from Makati. Thank you. What time is there in Makati now at this point of time?
It's already 7:03, and it's we have a bad weather today. It's raining.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, as we kept you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.